Down the Barrel Podcast with Jimmy, Dino, and Jared. So since we had such a good time with Brandon Ladoux, was that our last episode?
That was last episode,
we
number
decided,
97.
Yeah, because we talked about we're going to have to do a part 2. So here's our part 2 right away.
Right.
I thought it'd take a couple weeks, but we've got Brandon back with us today. So thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I'm surprised he actually came back.
Right.
Now, right?
You know, it took him a few days to answer the text, but
There is a few that do come back. They keep coming back. We've had a few.
Yeah, so we really appreciate it. So
Yeah, you bet.
No doubt.
And today we're just going to kind of cover, well, probably all sorts of stuff, but kind of, your gear that you use, that you've liked, and then kind of how you go about your out-of-state hunts or even in-state hunts, kind of where you find areas, stuff like that. So last time we learned a lot about you and some of your cool hunts and your videos. So, yeah, we'll just kind of cover some of that. So
For sure. Everybody, everybody starts off at kind of ground zero with hunting, and everybody seems to wear jeans and a flannel at first, and just if that's what works, that's awesome. And that's kind of how I started: jeans and a flannel and a gun, and it was awesome. It was great.
Yeah.
Gear wise, though, we could be here for a while, because I get really in the weeds with gear. Kind of started off as a young kid with just trying different guns. Like, why does this one kick different? Why does this one shoot different? Why is all that stuff? So then I kind of geeked out about scopes. And so, and that got me to a point where I was like, all right, stands where everybody uses stands. And like I told you the last time, there's some stands I probably won't ever buy again. I've owned products from, and nothing against certain brands, but I've owned anything from Muddy to Lone Wolf to tethered stuff, Latitude, you name it, XOP stuff. But I really like, for me, I don't like being jack of all trades, master at none when it comes to it, even though being a gear junkie, you kind of are jack of all trades, master at none.
Yep.
For me, I had to start somewhere. So rather than trying to spread myself out so thin with so many different types of gear, I said, okay, let's just start out with one thing. Well, the gun stuff, I didn't really have to, because a lot of stuff was passed down from my dad after he passed away, or, uncles or just parents and stuff like that. And I love the guns I shot. I knew them. I knew what rounds, what load, what grain I should be using. And then it got to, okay, stands. I really like the nuances of stands. For me, it went from trying a bunch of different ladder stands. I'm sure I'll go back when I get older or more seasoned, and the joints don't want to work as well. But I really like I said, I own a couple XOPs, some Lone Wolf stuff, some saddle stuff. I would say my go-to when I'm self-filming the past 4 years has been saddle stuff, because really the first couple times I used it, it was kind of a fad, and I was like, what is this about? I'm not sure I really like it. Feels awkward.
Yeah.
And
so you can relate to that.
it just it takes a lot of core. So that was a incentive for me to get a little better shape too. But
maybe that's my problem.
I have
a big core.
Plenty of core.
Yeah. You're right. But the saddle thing was, for me, I knew I wouldn't figure it out if I did not fully commit to it. So I went with tethered was kind of the first main one. But as far as platforms go, I've tried Ring of Steps, didn't like it. Platform seemed a little more a decent transition for me. But as far as saddle gear goes, there's a brand called Kestrel. I really liked that one. It had kind of a flex style. But then once tethered kind of came out more with their different style saddles, because their first original model I thought was just crazy uncomfortable. I'm like, why would anybody do this? And I want to sit in a tree for a while. You know, if I'm getting picked off in the tree because I just can't sit my butt still, it makes no sense. So when they came out with a different, their newer models, I got one of those. Those did do better as far as hip pinch and just overall comfort. But like I said, there's a learning curve with saddle hunting, rope maintenance, ascenders, all this different stuff. But that kind of spurred me to the lightweight stuff. So I wanted some heavier weight, or, you know, just maybe a little more comfort style hunting. So my comfort setup is, I would say, hang on stands. I like the run and gun because I like being adaptable. I like moving so for my setup, typically what I do is I have 3 sticks. All 3 sticks have aiders on them, a cable aider. Some people aren't comfortable with cable aiders because you really got to dig your boot into the tree. And my buddy's always like, man, you're going to hang yourself on your aider if you fall. But for me, I'm always strapped to the tree with my climbing rope and stuff of that nature. So I'm not really too concerned about it. But I really went to more of a lighter minimalist style just to really give it its just due. Because even now, if somebody said, if you want a setup that you're going to sit in for all day, or even if you had to go to one, I still probably would pick my hang on. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of at a point where I feel I've given the saddle aspect a good run. I'll still use it because there are some craggly trees where saddles are nice. Mm-hmm. But I still don't like the fact with saddles, you move. I move way more in a saddle than I will in a stand any day of the week. And maybe it's a me problem. And I ruin hunt, or whenever I've grown up, or as growing up, I ruin a hunt because I'm moving. If I can sit still, okay, I've solved 80% of my problems if I'm playing the wind halfway decent. So, I didn't like the climbing sticks I had. I had some Lone Wolf ones. I also had, what's that? Can't remember that brand. They kind of had suction cup. Hawk. Yeah, Hawk helium stands. That's what it was. Didn't really care for those as well. And a buddy of mine, Matt Sandys, he actually teaches with me at the high school. Him and I, we get these grants to do internships with local businesses. So local business gets free labor, and we get to learn all the tips and tricks of machining industry, and we get to take those tools that they're using and bring them back to the school. So I get to teach in the shop just the new and improved ways of machining things, or CNC stuff, or coding. But he's like, hey, what do you think of designing your own sticks? So he kind of spurred me on to, him and I designed our own climbing sticks. So I custom made them for my foot height, because I just didn't want to carry all extra weight when most climbing sticks, for those that don't know, are about an 18-inch step. Mm-hmm. And so then I was carrying 4 sticks. I was like, well, I don't want to carry extra if I don't have to. So we made our own climbing sticks. So that got me, again, more into the nuances of, okay, is my setup good for me? Because like I told you last week, some people would say this is the best. Well, that's like me telling you this boot is the best. Your foot is shaped different. It's not meant for everybody. So for me, I typically have the 3 sticks. Every year I kind of switch and look at my gear and say, what is one thing I want to improve? That year it was climbing sticks. So, figuring out what I liked, what I didn't like. Then the next year was, okay, how are my stands? Because these are kind of things that are top priority to me. Mm-hmm. There's a little nuance, or little, I would say, second or third tier things that I can tinker with whenever. But I want a good climbing stick that's quiet. I want a good, high quality stand that is quiet, that is hopefully lighter than normal, because if I'm going to be running gunning, I want a lighter setup. But for me, if I can control it as far as like sound, I want to be able to control it. So buying cheap stands was kind of off the board. The one, nothing against L&M or things of that nature where they sell stands like that. I just had so many of them, and I can't tell you how many times they would creak, make a popping sound, and it was over. And I just had to eliminate as much as I can. And I'm a firm believer in stealth strips. I use stealth strips on everything and anything metal that I can cover. I use them all the time because I can't tell you how many times I've been climbing up, my wrist strap, tink, makes a sound, and all of a sudden the beautiful blow from a deer just, I'm like, stop. That just, it's the worst sound in the world to me. My daughter asked me, what's the worst sound you ever heard? And I did that. She's like, well, for real, Dad. I was like, no, seriously, for real. That is the worst sound ever. I hate it. It is a rough sound. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't like educating deer. So for me, it progressed from one area to the next. So like boots for me, some guys are Crispies, some guys are Kenetrex, some guys are Lacrosse. I have baby feet. They get beat up really easy, soft. I have no arch. So Kenetrex killed me. So I said, I just can't do it. So that's something more. I wouldn't advise somebody buy these because I do it. Yeah. You got to figure out what works for you. But as far as stick setup, you got to ask yourself, what is priority? So for me, it was, is it light? Is it quiet? Top priority for me was it quiet and functional. Mm-hmm. Because if it's quiet and you can't use, or it doesn't really work, what's the point of buying it? So the sticks area of like, I need to get in a tree. How do I get up there? And once I get up there, okay, then I went to the stands aspects. And some people can reverse that. Stand is more important. That's fine. But I really love, and people have gone away from this, the climbers. I do like the old school lone wolf climbers with the it's not really plastic. I can't remember what kind of material it is for the strap, because a lot of times I won't even take the top. I'll just take the base and I'll just stand and lean up against a tree the whole time, because I don't need to sit down if I don't want to. And if I'm not doing an all day hunt, a lot of times I do that because there's some craggly trees. So we'll get in, and I don't, even if you had a hang on, the seat's not going to sit properly. And so I just use that base because all I need is a small platform to stand on. And so I have that set up. And a lot of times when we're filming each other, we'll use climbers a lot when it's a little more southern Minnesota. When it's northern Minnesota, we have a lot of popple trees, but for up here, we have so many pine trees as well. I'm not going to limb out a whole pine tree just to get up there. Mm-hmm. So for me, then I'll take my same sticks and combine them with my hang-on setup. My hang-on setup has been everything from a lone wolf. I believe it was the Assault. I have currently an XOP hang-on that is probably my go-to, because I sold, I've used the lone wolf. I don't have it anymore. But like I said, I don't need all these things, but I like the nuances of each one. Greg's trying to convince me that new XOP, the Fly,
I've seen that.
It's a little pricey. Yeah. And so it's like, I might have to sell some gear before I punch that ticket. But I asked him, I said, I might have to test her out, because that's what I like to do. And the way they're designing stands now, of getting them so lightweight is kind of nice, and yet they're still comfortable. Mm-hmm. But once I get up in the tree, again, every scenario plays out a little differently. I used to be a guy who, I got to get 25, 30 feet in the air. Then I started realizing with conversations with just other people and just experience of, I'm actually, with archery, I'm decreasing my I'm decreasing my actual target. It's shrinking it the higher I go. And I wasn't getting picked off up there. And I was like, this has got to be working. But as I started to lower my height, I realized, well, I'm not getting picked off here. I got so much back cover, especially in northern Minnesota. When I got down southern Minnesota, a little more opened up, there's been a few scenarios where we do get a little more up there, but the sweet spot for us is around that, I would say 21 feet. When I go out of state, I've been anywhere from 3 feet off the ground to, 25 feet. But for out of state, it's just like, can I get a little elevation, just enough so I can see them before they can see me? And, I like out of state stuff because most of the trees are not straight. I have legitimately, I kid you not, because there's been so little trees, I climbed up a telephone pole, a literal telephone pole to hunt. And guess what? I got picked off in about 3 seconds. And, once we got picked off, my buddy and I thought it was like, this could work. And yeah, like 2 minutes later, getting blown at, it's like, all right, let's get down. This isn't working. But with the filming stuff, we do typically use a lot of climbers or like I said, 2 hang-ons. When I'm filming the past couple of years, when I'm the camera guy, I typically I bring my saddle. Just trying to really give it its time to see if I can use it. I enjoy filming with a saddle. That's fine for me. I feel I can stay not moving a little bit better. But as far as my camera setup, we used to have these custom made, or I shouldn't say custom made. They were aluminum camera arms. I should probably weigh them because I think the camera arms extended out close to around 50 inches. So they were a long camera arm, and they were built for the old school big cameras, like the 25-pound cameras to hold those suckers. Had 2 knuckleball levelers on the bottom, and I bet you it weighed probably somewhere close to 15 pounds, maybe 12 to 15 pounds. Wow. It was. I still have it at home. I should bring it and just show you guys. It was because nobody's buying that sucker. You could try to resell it. Somebody will buy it for scrap metal or something like that. But then it transitioned to I bought this lightweight one. I don't even know the brand, and it was just awful, the self-leveling on it. And then I went to the first generation 4th Arrow one. I did like that one, except you had to bring a wrench. They had a specialty wrench to level the knuckle on it. And I used that for years, and I was always just terrified to lose that little tool, because if you're in the stand, you don't have that tool, you can't level it. It's like, there's got to be a better way. Well, since then, 4th Arrow's come out with several different models, minimalist models, mid-tier models, high-end models. And the one I have is, I think it's called the Pocket Arm or something. The ultralight pocket arm, something like that. I really do like that one because it literally folds to about the size of a small little notebook. Tucks away in my pack. Really, really good. And for a camera, I go with a Sony Vixia 31. And back then, it was a little higher end camera, and now it's probably not worth a whole lot, but it still works. So it's one of those with camera gear. I don't get too crazy on that. And when we decided to re-up our camera stuff, we pretty much all bought the same camera. So at any point, if I'm filming someone or they're filming me, we knew exactly which buttons to push, made it seamless. Even uploading stuff, just everybody knew what was what. Everybody had the same style batteries, so battery issues weren't a problem. And it just worked. I like the Manfrotto heads on camera stuff.
Yeah.
They're tried and true. So I haven't tinkered into that aspect. But pretty much for me, when I'm self-filming, when I'm in a saddle, I typically have the camera arm kind of on my strong side, which would be my left side. And everything's kind of set up. My bag is on my right, about hip height. And for me, that's important because I want to be able to draw over it and have all my gear there at a moment's notice, whether it be grunt call, rattling antlers, you name it. I use a lot of milkweed too, just wind checker. Some guys just have bottles wind checker. I use milkweed. And then my bow, I just have this Molly loop webbing that I go around the tree and just have a little hook, a little hanger hook on that and hook my bow right there so I don't have to move. Just because with saddle hunting, I just had to ask myself, how can I make this setup so I move really not at all? And that is hard with saddle hunting because you see guys practicing all the time and it's constant. You're ducking through cord or not cords, but ropes and trying to twist and move. And I'm like, I can't say it's my go-to one that I love the most, but it does set up for certain aspects with the actual just hunting by myself without a saddle. I do like I said, the climbing base, the climber base, or something like the XOP. I can't remember the name of it, or something like Greg Leese's fly, XOP fly, or a lot of guys have the Lone Wolf ones. I typically, whenever I hunt that style, it's for a long sit or for a sit where I'm up to observe and I'm going to get down. So for me, and most hunters, before you get out, I lay everything out before the season. I make sure I have my headlamp batteries. I go through all my gear, every setup I have. This is weird for me. Most people don't do this. I have a bag, the identical bag for every setup, because I don't want to have to switch out bags and setups and stuff like that. I just want to grab it and go. So for me, I know exactly where my cranks are. I know exactly where my Molly loop webbings are. I know exactly. And so, which is weird because I have to buy 3 of everything, which I don't mind. And sometimes I'll interchange certain things to test it if I like. So like a few years ago, big thing for me was grunt calls. I want to test out grunt calls. Which one do I like? Which one I don't like? I've had Primos calls. I've had Woodhaven calls. But actually where I landed was from a buddy. I was finding going out west or just where grunt calls play a little bit more. I think grunt calls play wherever you go. It would be one tool I would tell everybody, if there's besides your stand, your ability to get up in the stand and your weapon, what else should you have with you? Have a grunt call, because it works so well. It doesn't matter if it's early season, late season. Deer will communicate with each other constantly, and so the grunt call I landed on. It's called I can't remember what brand it is, but it's called the Brawler. It's like old boy brand or something to that. I know it's called the Brawler, and the reason we landed there is because there were so many times where there would be a buck cruising and I had to carry that sound out there. But most grunt calls I would use when I would blow or try to force enough air to get the sound to carry, it would peak out and sound almost like a duck call or something. Yeah. It's like, and all of a sudden deer are running away. It's like, whoa. Okay. And my buddy stumbled upon this one and he's like, you got to try this. Like, just rip on this sucker. And so I would, and it still held the tone from a low tone, soft. If I just wanted to, just give it a soft little grunt or a tending grunt. But if all of a sudden I had to get a buck's attention who was on the move, whether it be 100 yards, 200 yards, and just rip it out there and bam, would stop. And then all of a sudden I'd bring the tone back down and do a tending grunt, and bam, here they come. Actually, if you want to, for those, if you look on my channel of the one my buddy shot, the 150 inch out of state one, he rips on that call, and that's the call. And
I remember seeing that one.
Yeah, he got on that call, and that buck was probably 300 yards, and that thing, you just, it's fun to watch a deer react to something like that when they're just juiced up like that. And he honestly, you probably could have used a duck call on that deer when it came. But I'm not saying that the call is the best thing ever, but it was one where it was a scenario where there was a certain aspect where I needed to get the volume out there. And so far, that's the only call I've been able to find to hit that peak volume at a distance to where I really need to get it out. And that was why. Other grunt calls can work fabulously, but for that one, that's where I landed.
Was it the Quaker Boy?
Quaker Boy, that's what it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Quaker Boy Brawler. Yep, that's one.
I'm trying to think. I think mine's a Primos, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had it forever.
Yeah.
Actually, I've switched. My newer one, I guess I should say, which is still probably 10 years old, is a Primos. And then I had another one that was more rubbery that I used for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of who had that. Could have been an original Primos as well, to be honest. And I've grunted in some bucks down in Kansas, and it really worked. And they were interested and came back. So
right. So that the grunt call for me would probably be a second tier thing for me as far as priorities of getting into. For me, it was okay, stand, archery equipment or whatever I'm doing, ability to get up in the tree, and then like the second tier stuff was like, okay, clothing. Some women spend a lot of money on shoes. I spend a lot of money on clothing, but again, just testing it out. And that's one where everybody's different. Are you hiking far? Well, if you're hiking far, you probably don't want the, Sitka Fanatic jackets that are, that weigh a bunch. You're definitely going to want to layer stuff up. Got into the First Light, the Kuiu stuff. Gloves for me, that's kind of my current kick. So if you guys have any good suggestions for gloves, because I hate polyester. And the reason that is because, for one, I don't have great circulation in my hands. I like merino stuff. And for a weird reason, everybody does this when you're hunting. It's cold and your nose runs, and what do?
You wipe it.
Yeah, wipe it, and you wipe it with your glove. That polyester doesn't soak it up well. I don't know what it does, but it just irritates my nose. So a dumb thing, but again, I'm weird. So the merino style gloves. So the First Light gloves, I've really enjoyed those, but again, haven't really landed on. And I don't like thick gloves. I like to be able to, when I have the bow in my hand, I want barely anything contacting that I can control on my archery equipment, because again, I'm going to practice the way I hunt. So a lot of times when I practice, I'm wearing my hunting gloves or my backup pair, just to get the feel for what it's like. And it seems to work for me. But again, the clothing stuff is to each their own. I sweat when it's like above 50.
Yeah.
So
that's my problem, especially down at Ripley, walking in, and it's like, there'd be warmer days, but we had some cold times down there. It's like, God, I want to wear my stuff in because I'm cold, but then you sweat and I'm fat. So then even getting everything set up, I'm sweating, and there's a few years where I layered, but it just didn't seem to help.
Yeah, that's the thing. Tough. Like it's hard because, I like, like you were saying, I like to have minimal gear, right? And, I want my gear to fit perfectly in my bag, but then as soon as I need to carry extra layers with me, nothing fits anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's like it's a tough thing to navigate,
Well, and then it became tough especially with saddle, to layer because you have your saddle on.
Yep.
Well, you can't, but at least before, even with a, your harness, you couldn't layer as much because you take, you know, your pants off and you just have your underlayer. Well, then you got to take your harness off to get your pants back on, you know, your top layers. Like it was just always, so I just wear everything in other than a jacket. And then, but it was still so cumbersome to try to put everything on or take it off. I mean, I knew many guys that they'd walk in their, just in their underlayers. And then once they got there, then they put their clothes on and climb up.
Yep.
I think I tried that once and I froze on my way to the stand. So it didn't matter.
I mean, I've definitely done that, but like I said, my pack is not designed to carry all those extra layers.
Right.
And so I just had shit hanging off my bag, you know?
Right.
Yeah, you look back and your jacket's on a tree, you know, 50 yards away, and or you lose
My
your rangefinder
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I'm going to find that.
Yeah, for me, for me, I'm definitely walking in darn near with no clothes on.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I don't want to sweat. If I'm freezing cold, I use a lot of bungees, or I shouldn't say a lot. I use typically 1 or 2 bungees to strap everything down to my stand setup. With the saddle setup, I just have the buckle straps that hold on to it. And I hate getting sweaty. I hate because then I get cold quick and I don't like that. So, so typically I walk in, I'm having my under layers, and my underlayer for my shirt definitely is polyester because I sweat. And so I need it to dry quick. And then there's been times where it's been soaked. So I'm like, crap, now I got to shove it in my bag and try to put something else on, or else I'm going to freeze to death. So that aspect, that one, I would say, they've made gear so well now. I'm at a point where it's like, okay, what works for me to make me more comfortable? Because this is a sport I love, and some people have different hobbies. If my gear can help me sit 15 minutes better or longer, all right, it's worth it to me. Again, something that I can control. So having just warm clothes that are built for hunting, and when I go out west, though, that, you know, puffy jackets, I usually bring a puffy jacket. Here up north, northern Minnesota, puffy jacket, I'd look like a plucked chicken in about 3 seconds. So not going to do that. Yeah. Now some people are like, just stuff in your bag, and when you get to your tree, yeah, I could do that. But puffy jackets cost a lot, and it's not worth the risk for me. So as far as clothing wise, it really has to depend on the person. Cause I love things about Sitka. I absolutely do. I love things about First Light. I love things about Kuiu. They all work differently. Like the Kuiu attack pants, I love those things. If only they had knee pads, that'd be fantastic. But they're really super durable, and the 4-way stretch stuff. But again, do you need this stuff to kill big bucks? No. Heavens, no. Give me one of my first bucks ever. Well, I was in literally some wind pants, a white t-shirt, and a blaze orange pullover, and that's why I shot it in. You don't need these things, but when the conditions get bad, especially up here in northern Minnesota, having the right gear is kind of nice. Yeah. And actually, where I've kind of pivoted a little bit is I want to get some nice gear, or I've been getting some nice gear for my kids so they can sit longer, because mentally I'm like, I can sit, whatever, this doesn't bother me. My kids are sitting over there shivering, and I'm like, I think my dollar's better spent to get you to buy into this, because I just want to sit all day and they don't.
Yeah, I think I've done that as well. I mean, right now my son's getting to where he can hand me down, so it's like great, because I've got gear that I've outgrown. So it's like, well, now he can fit into it. So I mean, it's still great gear. Yep. Right. And it's like, I hate to get rid of it because it's still got a lot of years in it. So it's like, now he can wear that stuff. And, you know, we upgraded boots a few years ago and stuff like that. So, and I think and I was going to ask this question, and So do you think it's more of an archery hunter that has more of the, I don't know what the word is, more gear, more up-to-date gear, rather than your typical firearm, just your basic deer hunter, rifle deer hunter, I should say, or firearm? Do you think it's more of an archery thing that they kind of get into the gear and become gearheads and stuff?
I'm going to say yes and no.
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to become a gearhead, right? Yeah. And I've done it with every single hobby that I've ever had. That's why I own like 15 fly fishing rods and,
40 duck decoys,
40,000 duck decoys, and who knows how much climbing gear. I think you're very prone to fall into the gear junkie, getting into this sport. But I think once you add archery, there's another layer, right? And,
I think so.
And I think especially because I don't know a whole lot of archery hunters that exclusively archery hunt. I think those of us that do archery hunt, we do everything else as well. And so now you're adding on a whole bunch of stuff on top of all of the gear you need for firearms hunting. And it just seems like a lot more.
It does. Cause I'm thinking even when I firearm hunted out of a, tree stand, portable and stuff, it seems like I didn't have as much gear as what I do with my archery equipment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know why, but I just didn't seem to have as much.
Yeah.
I would say, I would agree with your comment that I've seen gear junkies as rifle hunters. I've seen gear junkies as truck owners. I've seen, it doesn't matter what it is. But I will say in the hunting aspects, I've ran into more bow hunters that fall into this mindset of buy once, cry once. Buy super good quality stuff that is quiet, that is effective, because with bow hunters, I see them looking at every angle of the hunt. You guys have heard the saying when a rifle hunter, or when a hunt starts with a rifle hunter, you see the deer, the hunt is over. With a bow hunter, you see the deer, the hunt just starts, just begins. And so to have good quality gear that can actually get you there within that bubble to actually kill them, I've seen maybe a little more attention to detail in certain aspects. Like there's a lot of rifle hunters that probably have the same stand setups that I do, but I don't see a lot of them putting, like I said, stealth strips on everything, or wrapping their climbing sticks in whatever, or just little things. Zippers are big for me on any of my clothing. Is a zipper quiet? Because if I'm up there and I got to zip something up, we've all had that jacket or that piece of clothing that just, or I will not touch Velcro. If it has anything Velcro on it, I don't buy it. That's maybe something a rifle hunter doesn't have to pay as much attention to detail on. But like you said, the gear junkies can come in all shapes and sizes in different areas. But it's one of those where I do ask myself, man, should I just go back to the little more simple life? Because there are times where I'm like, does this really move the needle that much? Probably not, but I feel good about it. One area I've really geeked out though is my entire archery setup. Geeked out about arrows, FOC, all that, really didn't get into the whole single bevel thing, shooting the high FOC stuff, 700 grain. I'm like, for me, because some people would say penetration's the most important thing. And I was like, well, it definitely plays a role. For me, am I accurate?
Right. Hitting the mark.
Accuracy is, to me, a higher priority list for me. And actually, the more I got into the gear stuff of my archery setup, I realized, wow, I'm spending so much time trying to figure out these little nuances and details, you know what I need? I need to get out and shoot my bow.
Yeah.
And practice. If I spend half the time that I've been doing tinkering, just practicing good shots, not bad break shots, I'm pretty sure I'd be a lot better off. But I can't help myself. So, for me, for people buying archery equipment, I love Rip TKO arrows, Easton Access, really good. I used to shoot everything from, the old school Beemans to the old school aluminum Eastons, full metal jackets I've shot, and the Easton Maxa Hunters. But I've really leaned to the Rip TKOs. The tolerances on those things are 1/1000th of an inch end to end, and that's just amazing. From how far we've come from when I first started hunting to shooting probably close to a 600 grain arrow to now where my setup is around 455 titanium inserts. But I would say the big debate is now, or always has been, of what's your broadhead, mechanical, or single bevel or fixed, or I've shot them all. I shouldn't say all, that's not true, but I've shot all versions, I would say, to hybrids, to mechanicals, to all that stuff. My brother did get into the single bevel stuff. He really liked it. And like I said, for if you're going after big like elk, okay, yeah, fixed blade, I would definitely recommend. I shot my elk with a single bevel fixed blade, bee stingers, or what are they? Yeah, the stingers.
Wasp.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those work great. Those work phenomenal. Zipped right through them. But for archery, I've killed everything from with muzzies to Rage. Rage has, let's be honest, Rage has killed more deer than probably most broadheads that have ever existed. But some people say no. That buck that I shot at, where it rode the rib cage, was a Rage. And after that, I stopped shooting Rage.
Yep.
Because I was mad at him. But ultimately,
I think we've all had that.
You got to blame somebody.
I'm still shooting Rage, so I haven't gotten that mad at him yet.
Oh, don't worry. I've come back.
I haven't come back yet, but I'm working on
muzzies, aren't you?
Right now, no, I'm not shooting muzzies. What am I shooting? NAP.
Me too.
I'm shooting NAPs.
Yep. Those G5,
I really looked at those.
Those G5 mega meat ones.
Yep.
They've done well. I've killed some nice deer with those ones, and they don't go very far. But it's funny how these camps, show people will have a camp where these things suck, and I'm like, well, they killed some deer, or these things are best. And so, like, I've tried a lot of different ones, and there's pros and cons to each one. I really like the fixed blade Grim Reapers, but you shoot those,
haven't you? Yeah,
you shoot the fixed blade Grim Reapers, the vented ones, and they whistle. Didn't like that. So and again, when you get into the actual nuances of just a broadhead, we could spend probably a whole episode on just broadheads.
Oh, sure.
But we could spend 10 episodes on broadheads,
right?
And end up right where we started,
right? And it's one of those where they all kill deer. And again, it comes back to, are you making accurate shots? Are you making good shots? It doesn't matter what setup you have on there. Well, that's not entirely true, but you get what I'm saying. Yep. It really comes down to, are you pulling off a good shot? Are you practicing and having good reps, and not just shooting to shoot? And because everybody's been out there shooting, and you're like, whoa, where'd that one come from? And I found myself doing that and realizing my shot sequence was faulty, and it was a me problem. It wasn't the broadhead. It wasn't the Rage that rode up the rib cage or missed or whatever. It was me. And and I have to practice more. I have to practice correctly and better. So, but it doesn't keep me from not tinkering with arrows. I build my own arrows. Why? Because again, it's fun. I like it. Vanes. I really like these vanes that were called Silent Nights, K2s, but they were super lightweight, so it put more weight up in the front. But then it was one of those deals where it started getting cold up here. Well, guess what happens? They were really nice, really quiet. Once it got cold or anywhere near like 20 degrees, they started to shatter.
Really?
So
wow.
I literally, the company I bought it from, or the archery place I bought it from, I'm like, you need to tell people from northern or that are hunting cold climates, do not buy these. They're wonderful in just mild climates. They're super light. They're super quiet. But watch out once they get cold. And she was like, wow, yeah, this is the first person I had somebody tell me that. And I was like, well, I hope it prevents somebody from making a mistake on that. But the AAE hybrid fletching, they're just hard to get away from. They're just, the max stealths or the stealth hunters, or it doesn't matter which one, they're really nice. And again, if somebody just wants to go to L&M and buy a box of Beeman ICS hunters, you're going to kill deer. Mm-hmm. You don't have to geek out about this stuff. They will kill deer. And, but if you want to geek out about it, there's a lot of fun. Like for me, every single one of my arrows in my bow is within a grain of weight of each other. So I match grade all my inserts, match grade all my fletching, my lighted nocks, and get everything. So the whole arrow setup, every one from arrow 1 to 6 is all within a grain of each other. Because all of a sudden I started realizing, like, wow, I'm putting this insert in, and I started weighing. I'm like, why is this one 6 grains over? This one's 9 grains over, and how am I getting these variances? And then all of a sudden I started weighing every single item, and it was tedious. And I'm a geek, yes, I know, but again, it was something that I could control. And am I ripping out the same arrow every time with the same weight? But as again, again, we can get way in the weeds of certain things. Like I built my own bow press. Why? I don't know. Just cause I wanted to do something to do. And I wanted to work on my own gear. It's like, even like rifle, I see with rifle hunters all the time. They're really good at that. They're really good maintaining their equipment, going through each and every, especially reload guys, they get way geeked out about this. It's so awesome. And I'm like, it kind of opened my eyes. Like I can do the same thing, and they have full control of what they're ripping down the barrel. I should
shout out.
Right down the barrel. Hey, well played. All right.
Good catch.
So for me, it was like, I can do the same thing. I have this weird thing. It's actually a tackle box. My tackle box, or I have this huge tackle box. It's my bow box. So with all my serving, all my extra broadheads, my arrow setups, my grain weight or grain scale, or doesn't matter. It's all there. And you can't, you wouldn't believe how many times my buddies are like, hey, anybody got an extra so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah. And they call me Go Gadget Brandon, because it's just like, you got that? I'm like, yes, I do. What do you need? And I pull it out, and it comes into play. So again, that's not for everybody, but if you want good gear, I highly recommend buy once, cry once. Do research what you like, what's comfortable for you. Like some people swear by Summit stands. Plenty of guys I've had that stand. It was a climber. If you want a good nap, you buy that stand, that Summit climber. You get up in the air,
Summit,
and you could just totally pass out. It's so comfortable. I probably will never buy that stand again. For me, it held me off of the tree too far. Again, that was a priority for me. I want to tuck up to the tree. Now, some guys will say, well, yeah, you can stand up, you can tuck. But for me, if I was rifle hunting, I would hunt from that stand. definitely make sure you have a harness. I almost died out of that stand because I leaned on the edge, and it's like with any climber, you lean on the edge of it and it tilted, it rotated. And I was literally having to do a pull up just to get myself back in. And this was back when I was like 20 years old, when I was a lot dumber than I am now. And I was like, I don't need a harness. Things change when you have kids, man. I got up in the air. Heights never used to bother me. They really don't, because I'm always in a harness now. And it's like, I get up in the air and I was like, I don't like this. Now there's more skin in the game. So buy a harness if you don't have one.
Yeah.
They come with the stand, but throw that piece of shit in the tree.
Get you a good one. And,
unless that's all you have.
Right. Yeah. I used to, setting up stand, never really wore a harness. Sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. And then we had a friend moving a stand, and he fell and broke his leg, and he was in the middle of nowhere in a swamp, and they got him out and whatnot. And he still walks with a limp, or, maybe it's a head injury. I don't know. But anyway, so really ever since that, I wear my harness everywhere, and the lineman's rope has saved me so many times. Even just getting the stand set up and getting the top harness up and stuff. And I'd leave that lineman's on for a little bit just to make sure everything's good to go before I take it off.
Yep.
And even getting down and climbing in and out. I don't use the, I know a lot of guys use the long one when they're getting in and out.
Yeah. It's like safety tether.
Yeah. The safety tether. I haven't done that.
I do that on my ladder stand only.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fixed there. It's been there
honestly,
for 3
probably
years.
on ladder stands. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I've ever wore one in a ladder stand. I think I just felt somewhat safe in a ladder, but when it comes to portables,
I'm not willing to say that on air because I'm trying to promote best practices.
Right.
I haven't hunted out a ladder stand in years.
Right. No, a good brand for harnesses, because like I said, everybody should have one. I use a Spider. I've had different versions of that Spider. Yeah, it is a little bit expensive, but man, sure pays a lot cheaper than a hospital bill. And walking, like you said, walking with a limp the rest of your life. But no, that's something, again, geeking out about gear with that Spider harness. I wanted something that didn't have a crazy long tether that's going to get me in the way. Obviously, you have to ask the question: can it hold you up if you fall? Is it gonna last a while? Because those, if you use them, or if something happens, they always tell you if you hit that max load capacity on a fall, you're supposed to buy a new one. So I did through some reviews of which ones typically last the longest. That was one that did, and it's worked well for me. And it's kind of weird how everybody's been there with your dad, uncle. I remember my dad grabbing me literally by like my chest and swinging me up on a tree branch. And all right, this is where you sit. And he climbs up the tree, and you're just bear hugging a tree, and you're like, all right, okay, this is where we're going to chill out for the rest of the day. But back in the day, nobody had harnesses. And now my kids, I'm like, yeah, you're wearing a harness, guys. This is what we do. And it's kind of been just a interesting transition from when I first grew up to now. But as far as the other gear, I guess if we could circle back to maybe the filming aspect, with when I'm self-filming, again, I'm not great at it. I have to be better at practicing. I always have a bag with what are those rope ascenders that rattle back, or that for pulling up a bow.
Yeah, the Duncans.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I like ones that are made of rope. I don't like
the flat nylon ones.
I don't like those. I don't like the flat nylon ones because they tangle and then they don't go back in. And so for me, I'll cut a little hole in the bottom of my bag so that thing can thread through. Or if the bag already has a natural hole, I'll put the cord through it, and then I'll just do a quick attach on the end so I can hook up my bow, my gun, whatever it is to it. So trying to really, like you said, whether it be with my pack, just make things minimal and tuck it away. I always have the same pouch with all my calls, whether it be a can call, a grunt call, and rattling antlers if I'm going to use them. Then inside the bag, I have, if everybody has a saw, I love the silky saws, the super long extension ones, because I don't want to bring out a pole extension pole saw, the one I'm out in the stand. But those silkies extend long enough to where everybody's had that scenario where you get up in a stand, there's that one dumb limb. Well, I don't necessarily recommend this to everybody, but when you are hooked up with a harness and you can lean out a ways and get that extra distance, and then that silky saw gives you that extra distance to really reach out and just get it. It's awesome. Or
when legal.
When legal, yes.
Not on public land. Right. Or a lot of times I'll take my pull-up rope and tie a branch to it. And if there's a tree branch out there, then you go fishing. You toss the rope out there, you see if you can wrap it around, and you pull, and like that automatic ascender rope for a gun or something like that. It's really come in handy, and it's a stupid little thing that I've used so much. My bow hangers, I've had everything from just the screw and bow hangers. But again, like you said, on public land, you can't do that now. So that's why I went to the Molly loop webbing, and it works really good. And I would say the setups for self-filming and when I'm filming with a buddy, they're similar, almost identical. The guy who's filming typically has, like I said, the camera arm, the camera, and the food. He's an important guy. Right. So, but the hunter typically will have his pack, everything for whether it be dressing a deer, the calls, all that stuff, and the coffee. So gotta have coffee. I don't know. I'm a coffee guy. There's no better taste coffee ever in the world than after you shoot a deer. And you're sitting in the stand reminiscing with your buddy, replaying the shot and fist bumping and high-fiving and doing all that, and you bust out the coffee. And I'll admit, I'm an Oreo guy too. So
Oreos and coffee.
Oh man, it is a staple. My wife, she's like, you guys have the weirdest meal plan. It's coffee, it's Oreos, and beef sticks. Yep. And we definitely just bring a sandwich. Actually, the past couple of years we've been a lot healthier. We used to Little Debbie snacks, and it showed for a few years, and then definitely had to cut back on that. But just trying to maximize our room in our packs for hey, who's got what, and the scenario is always the same. So if I'm the cameraman, I know my responsibilities every night. If I'm the cameraman, I'm charging the camera. I'm responsible for the food. He's responsible for the coffee, and it works like clockwork. Now with my kids, I have to coach them. You are an important piece to this. You bring the food.
Yep.
And it's funny how they're just like, what? I'm like, no, you have a role to play, and you're not going to get my food. No, I'm not going to get the food. and you better get it right, or we're going to have words later. But no, it's great with kids. But it's just these every hunter has their comfort of little nuances of how they like their setup. I like my bow close. I don't want to have to move. I don't want to have to stand up if I don't have to. Whether it be for self-filming or filming, we always have this signal when we're filming together of if a deer's coming. So how we tap the tree or tap the person. We tap the shoulder if it's a doe. If it's a buck, we have hand signals if you can move or if you can't. Because every person has been up in the tree with, well, I shouldn't say every person. But if you've been up in tree with a person, you're usually like deer, and it's just sheer panic. Yep. So we're trying to, we have these little things, little nuances of, we're trying to keep it calm. So we're not freaking out in the tree. I would love to say that works. I have been guilty a few times saying the word you can't say in a tree with a buddy is the word shooter, unless it's a shooter. There's been a couple times where my buddy and me have both made a false call where it's like shooter. And when you say that word, boy, the juices start flowing. Yep. You're like, here we go. And it's like an 80 class 6 point. It's like, what? You mean you didn't see that big one in the background?
No, not that one. No,
that one. So, man. When we're filming with each other, the camera guy goes up first, typically with obviously all the gear. If we're doing climbers, obviously he climbs up first. If you're not doing climbers, typically we use stands, the hang-ons, and the camera guy is hanging everything. So the hunters, it's nice for the hunter. You see it to sit and chill and just be like, make sure you set it level now, mess with them a little bit. We always stagger our stands. Yep. I wish I could give you a better word picture than that, but especially with climbers, my top seat and the cameraman's top seat are almost level, maybe 6 inches off, as long as he's not in my shooting lanes. That gives us 360 coverage. Obviously, he's kind of offset on the backside of the tree, so they can see, but still communicate with me. When I'm just self-filming, obviously I'm picking the highest priority trail for my camera, for my shot, minimal movement. But once I get up in the tree, first thing, because I've done it too many times, first priority for me, once I get up in the tree, after I'm strapped in, I'm getting my bow up. Because there's been time and time again where I'm messing around with the camera or other things, getting it set up, my bow's still on the ground, and here comes a deer.
Yep.
Because it's amazing. That deer hears some rustle off in the distance, and they're curious. They come check, and all of a sudden I'm caught red-handed with not a single weapon and I've literally had to let deer walk off and walk by, and my bow's just sitting there. Last year in particular, I didn't make the mistake, but I got up in the tree, started to grab my bow, and I had everything with me. It wasn't all set up. And I grabbed my bow and I started lifting up, and there 2 deer came. She came right down in this slough where I was set up, 150-inch 9-point, one of the biggest bucks I've seen in a while. Or I shouldn't say that. Biggest bucks like within killing range, and they were right behind some brush, and she heard something when I was putting up my bow, and she just looked, and that was a point where if I had a bad stand in that point, I would have been busted, because I had to do a lot of movement to get set up for them to come in. And if I'm in a creaky stand or something to that effect, it would have been over. Mm-hmm. So that one, unfortunately, I didn't even get a shot. I was able to get drawn back on that deer twice, but didn't quite. I could have shot the doe at 20 yards, but he was just dogging her, 20 yards back, and just sat there. And all of a sudden, he got to 35 behind trees, and I just there was no spot. And then she kind of got downwind of me, boogered out, and he went with her. And I was like, oh, come on. But again, just that's one where I would tell my kids all the time, get your weapon up. Just, you can set everything else up. Don't worry about the coffee. Don't worry about the food. Don't worry about, get your weapon up at least. So if game time comes, you're ready. That is something you can control. But with optics, everybody, if you don't have binoculars, buy yourself some binoculars. I feel naked when I don't have my binos with me. That is a piece of gear where I have geeked out a little bit of trying different things. I've had I've tried Leupold, I've tried Bushnells, I've tried Vortexes. I actually still have a pair of Vortex razors that I kind of handed down to my kids because my newest geek out is the Zulu 6s from SIG.
Oh, yeah.
Those, I call them devil glasses. Don't look through them if you haven't looked through them, because for me, if you're a gear guy, my buddy was like, you got to look, he had a pair and he's like, you got to look through these. I'm like, no. He's like, why not? I said, because you know what's going to happen. I'm going to buy them. Mm-hmm. And he's like, do it. And I didn't for the longest time. And finally I did. And it was just like those self-stabilizing. If you guys don't know self-stabilizing binoculars, you turn on the switch. You can operate them just as normal binos, but they have a switch on them where it has a gimbal ball inside to where like you could drive your car with these binos on your face and everything is dead calm. You know, everybody's experienced this with binos where you're running or you're walking and all of a sudden you see something, you pull up and you're breathing and shaking. There's been times where I've done that. I see, that's a shooter. My buddy with the Zulus, he's like, that was a 145 inch 10. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. Like he can identify it in 2 seconds. Because everything is so calm, so steady. And people are like, well, what about the glass? I haven't noticed a difference between the glass from my Vortex razors. And some people are like, but I have Swarov's 10x52s. Good for you. Okay, I'm not going to spend $3,000 on it. Yeah. And now I do have a few buddies who are guides, so I got a discount through his guidance service to get them because they're not cheap either. I had to sell plenty of gear just to afford those as well. But they definitely, they're so amazing, especially if you go out west. When I've gone out west and used them out there, it's you feel like you're in the game and the deer's like a half mile away. It's kind of maddening too, because you're like, it's right there. And you're like, oh shoot, no, it's not. But, it's amazing just the different technology that they have. Either way, just get yourself some binoculars.
Yeah.
I love how you're talking about the difference in people's preferences with binoculars, and all I can think about is the difference in how we hunt. And you mentioned 145 inch tent, like 145 inch tent, like let that go. And I'm like, Jesus, give me that every day.
Right. Trust me, I would not pass up 145 inch tent. Sorry.
And I never used to carry binoculars a lot.
Yeah.
With bow hunting. I mean, I always have my rangefinder on me.
Right.
And then
depends on where I'm hunting, you know?
Yeah. And then I got the Alps, chest pack that holds binoculars and the rangefinder. So now I carry that everywhere. Bow hunting, rifle hunting, coyote hunting. I carry binoculars with me all the time.
How do you like that chest pack?
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nice. And it's just got the cord to wrap around. There's no Velcro or anything. Yep. So I mean, I can bend over, and as long as it's latched, of course, nothing falls out. And actually it has straps for your binos. That way, if it does come open, they don't fall open. Yep. So I really like it.
Because I've had the Kuiu ones.
Yep.
And the XL Kuyus, and then I've had the marsupial.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the marsupial one. The no mag one.
Yeah.
The self-closing one. But I don't like their rangefinder pouch holder because it flops down.
Yep.
So I actually sewed mine with just braided fishing line because I don't know, that's what I had available to me, and braided fishing line, it's awesome. So I used it and I sewed it up. I like their pouch because it doesn't matter what rangefinder I've tried. In the heat of the moment, you're trying to grab it out of a pouch, and if it sticks, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I want my rangefinder in my hand. I don't want to have to fart around with something that's getting hung up or stuck. Yep. So I really like marsupial's pouches. I just don't like their clip system set up to where it flops. So I would highly recommend, if you do it, or if you do get that one, sew it So it fixed, and it works so phenomenal.
Well, I did that same thing with braided fishing line.
Yeah.
I'm running the Vortex right now.
Yeah.
But I've been looking at the marsupial.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the same thing that rangefinder pouch just flops around.
And I think the Alps one does too. I don't think it does it maybe as much. I guess I have to pay attention a little bit more, but it does flop. I can hear what you're saying. So I didn't even think about sewing it to the bigger pouch, but that's a good idea.
I've got a rangefinder in the middle of Camp Ripley that'll prove it.
That you do. That you do.
Okay, out of 4 of us, who's lost a rangefinder? Okay, we're 50 per.
2 of you.
No, I haven't.
All right.
I haven't. It was always around my neck previously until I got
you were
this.
using the like lanyard style.
And I got to where I hated it because
I can't stand.
I kept
stuff
shortening
around
it
my
up,
neck.
and then it was, then you pull the bow back, and it's always hitting it or it's hanging out,
Yep.
especially when you lean it around a tree, and then it would flop. So I had to be, very mindful. Of, okay, I got to put it in my jacket, zip it up enough. So that's how I was like, God, I'm getting this chest packs.
They're nice.
Yeah, they're so nice.
And what do you have for binos, Dean?
I have got. What do I have? Do I have the? I don't have the Athlons yet. I've got Loophole.
Okay.
Yep. I think they're just 10x42s. Honestly, they work. So.
Yeah.
Yep. How about you?
Well, I have Bushnells that I've been using for a while, but at a recent banquet, I won some Athlons that I do not have in my possession yet. So hopefully I'll get them in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I've been carrying the binos quite a few years, probably 5 years now. I upgraded because, before it seems like they were always in the pack. And where I was hunting, I didn't really need them. But now it seems like where we hunt more of, it's like they do help, and a good rangefinder really helps, if they got that little bit of zoom. That's what I was using before, but it's just such a small window.
Yep.
You can't see as well.
There's another thing with the rangefinders. I had some Leupold rangefinder, and I liked it. But then I went to the Vortex ones, and the simple reason why is because in low light conditions, the Vortex, the lettering or the numbers are red and they're bright. They actually, the Leupold were black.
Yeah.
And so I'm shooting at an object and then pointing it to the sky, trying to get any little bit of light so I can see it. So that's a nuance where I would tell somebody, if you're buying a rangefinder, make sure you get one that can the numbers actually brighten up for you so you can see it. It's just a weird thing. I don't get why they make them not.
I replaced my Loophole for that same reason.
Yep.
Yeah, they're hard to see. Low light.
I think my first set was horizontal.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. And then it had dark numbers that you couldn't hardly see in low light. And then what did I get? It was a Realtree one. I don't even know who made it at that time, but now
it was Nikon.
Yeah, I've got a Nikon one, and but there's one in between. It might have been a Bushnell. So I don't remember what the first one was, and then a Bushnell and Nikon. So I've got one in my archery pack, and then I've got one in my rifle pack, as well. So I've got 2 rangefinders that I use a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had 2.
but see that's something I know I am not good at, or I just suck at of judging distance. As much as I try to coach myself, like there's be times so often I'll just be in a spot and I'll guess. I'll do it to my son all the time. I said, how far? And he'll take a stab at it. I'll take a stab at it. In northern Minnesota, or just in Minnesota in general, when I have a little bit better depth perception with certain objects, just because there's so many trees to kind of reference off of, I'm a little better. But when I get out west, it's all out the window.
It's insane.
It's like I look at a deer and I'm like 40 yards away. I range at 80. I'm like, oh my word. So not even close. So that's something I know I need. I don't know if I'll ever get better at it. So like my rangefinder, like you said, is fixed to my bino harness, and I wish I could say I'm not lost without it, but I know my odds are definitely going up if I have it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm lost without mine.
Oh, I mean, we just did that the other day. We were doing a coyote hunt out at your place, and I had said, like, that tree is what, like 100 yards? You were like, no, I've ranged it. It's 160. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like kind of on this hillside.
Right.
So it's deceptive for sure without that rangefinder.
I can't do without a rangefinder.
Yeah.
You know, I'm bad about
Out to
that.
30 or 40, I'm decent, but past that, forget about it.
And I know when I get in a tree or wherever I'm hunting, and it's, you know, you range, obviously, I'm sure we all do it, you range certain trees.
Right.
Because I'm shooting single pin, so that way it's a lot easier. So I know, you know, but. Yeah.
Right. So it's, again, with the gear, it's you can really go down rabbit holes really quick with each one. If there was any piece of advice for somebody who is a gear junkie, I really would just say, pick one topic.
Yep.
Pick one. What's one thing you want to really dig into and find what works for you? Not because somebody else does. What works for you? Pick that one or two things, and you know, whether it be rangefinders or, because all this stuff, it costs a lot.
Yeah.
And so make your priority list. What's important to you? If I could give you a priority list, it would be obviously your archery setup or whatever, but what kind of stand do you want? Is it quiet? Is it light? Is it effective? Is it comfortable? If comfort's your game, well, maybe certain stands aren't for you. But you can definitely have a lot of fun and spend a lot of money.
Oh, right. Sure.
God,
yeah.
yes.
And I think we all have done that.
Well, yeah. And I'm shocked that we've made it this far into this conversation, and we are yet to know what bow you shoot.
Yeah.
And we don't need to get into the details on releases, but you know, are you using thumb release, finger, wrist strap? Like what do you got?
Yeah. I have, I'll be honest. My good friend, Andy Wickham, he's a Matthews dealer. And so loyalty to me is valued, and I want to help out my buddy, and I love the product. I love Matthews, and in the sense of they've been good to me when I've had issues, but don't be deceived. I am a all-encompassing archery shooter. So I have this thing every Thanksgiving. I will go to if you're in St. Cloud on Thanksgiving, go to archery country, because I'll be there for like 4 hours, and I shoot every single bow I can that they will let me for until I have to get back for dinner. So I get there crack of 10, and I was going to say crack of dawn, but they don't open at dawn. I wish, that'd be nice, but no, they open at 10 a.m. and I'm there for 4 hours up until dinner, just shooting every single bow, because the advancement in bows now is so amazing, and any bow can kill a deer. But I tend to lean to Matthews because of my buddy, and I appreciate his help with me as well. And so, you know, I know Gary Castellano here. He actually just, you know, he was Hoyt dealer for years, and now is transitioning that aspect. But bows are just fun. There's certain things about Matthews I didn't like, and I wish I had the power to change certain aspects, but they've improved so much. I've heard different people say, you know, they're the best bow company. I think I agree with Josh Jones. I don't know if you guys know Josh Jones. He's a dealer out west, kind of a bigger dealer out west, and he says Matthews is the best marketing company that happens to sell bows. Right. But I don't want to throw shade at Matthews in that aspect, because they're very innovative. But Bowtech, you know, actually Hoyt's new bow that came out this year is really nice. And Greg, our buddy Greg, he's more of a Bowtech guy, and we kind of rib him about that. And Bowtech has really, really had some nice bows come out. I wish Matthews and Bowtech had a baby, and they would make the perfect bow.
Yeah, it's called Hoyt.
Well played.
Right. You're a Hoyt guy now.
I don't know. I have a Matthews. I have a Hoyt. Yeah. I also have a Shakespeare Nisita from 1965. That is my pride and joy. You know, that's my go-to.
Yeah. But they're again, you can't fit a hunter to a bow. You have to fit the bow to the hunter, because some people are going to shoot a Hoyt and they're going to be like, this is the best. Well, awesome. Buy it. Mm-hmm. Some people are going to shoot a Matthews and be like, this is the best. Some people just look at the price tag and be like, this one's expensive, so I got to buy that one. Okay. Well, if that's your jam, have at her. I like Matthews. Actually, their newest version is, I like a longer axle to axle bow. So the years when Matthews was really going light, the helium, I couldn't stand that bow, the Matthews helium, but of course I bought it. I had this thing where I'd buy a new bow every year, and sell my old bow. Well, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, no doubt.
Bows don't hold their value like a gun.
No, absolutely not.
And at the same point, are the improvements worth me selling my setup?
Right.
15 years ago, it was like, wow, that you were really gaining some speed here. It's way more balanced, tunable, all that stuff. Now it's to a point where there's not a lot of difference unless they change their entire cam systems I would say they're making it more user friendly for guys like me who love to work on bows.
Right.
Because I have my own bow press. I built my own bow shop, so I like to mess with that stuff. So I appreciate that, because for me to drive to a Matthews dealer to have them tinker and mess with that. Now I still do, because I want to support our dealers. They need us and we need them. And so for me, I still wanted to make sure if something ever went south on a hunt, I know how to fix it. I know what to do. But yes, I shoot a Matthews. I think, oh man, I've had so many different models. I can't remember which one I have now. Lift X or Lifter, the Lift X. I can't remember. But no, it shoots great. It's never the problem with the equipment. It's me. Mm-hmm. It's, really now the tunability, you can shoot 3 arrows through a bow and have it just driving tacks and shooting bullet holes through paper in 3 shots. You never saw that 25 years ago, ever. I know. So now it really is. It's like, I can't tell you how many times every Thanksgiving I watch guys who have never touched the bow shoot maybe 5 shots and drop $2,000 that day on a brand new bow. I think they're crazy.
Yep.
I'm like, you shot it 5 times and you're like, they're like, this is, but again, if that's what you want, all right, do it. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm going to shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot until I figure out, oh, do I like this back wall? Do I like this draw cycle? I don't know. To each their own. But yes, I shoot a Matthews to answer your question.
And see, I guess mine, I never upgraded quick enough. So my first bow was the Martin. Yeah. What year a bow was that?
90s, I would guess.
So it was a mid-90s bow, and I got that in 2004.
Right.
And I had that, shot the biggest buck with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bought the G5, Gary, and I had that for 15 years.
Right.
Yeah. And then I got the Hoyt. So there was, let me tell you, going from a mid-90s Martin to a 2005 G5 and then a 2020 Hoyt. Yeah. It's like, these bows are awesome.
Right.
And I went, and I go down to Archer Country or even to Gary's a few times, because I was really looking at going back to G5, prime. And then I really like the Elites, shot Matthews and whatnot. And so then it just kind of came down to whatever I felt like that day. And well, it helped. I won that bow. So,
I was going to say, you won the bow.
So I won the bow. So that really helped. But what's funny is before that, we were talking about, I need a new bow. It's been 15 years. I've restrung this bow. It's a great shooting, the G5 was great, but it's like the advancements now are so much better. It's like I could be that much more accurate with a new bow. And then it just so happened that I want it. So
both you guys won your bows.
Yeah.
More or less. Yeah. A friend won it.
Well, I mean,
made a trade, but
right.
So So I figured, you know what? If I can get 15 years out of this one,
right? Oh, I'm never buying another bow in my life. I mean,
you wouldn't.
I don't think I need to. I mean, I still have I still have my youth bow, which was a Diamond by Bowtech.
Yeah.
I still have my dad's bow that he bought in probably 93, 94, which is a PSE Polaris Express. I just need to find somebody that can put new strings and cables on it. I think it has a 90-pound draw weight, but that'll be a fun one once I can get that up and running.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I've got, the latest and greatest model from Hoyt from last year.
Right.
Which I think I could run that bow for 30 years and still be fine.
I can't imagine what new technology.
We're talking gear junkies here.
Right. I know. Yeah. You say that.
Ask me again next year and
right.
I'll have my eyes on something.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
For me, it got to a point that I just said, okay, rather than buying a new bow, I just need new strings and cables, and it's a brand new bow.
Yep.
The limbs are good. Everything's solid. I love the way it feels. Because when they went to I like that bow companies are giving you the options custom, to make them customized to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's always been important to me. Cause like I said, you can't fit a hunter to a bow, fit the bow to the hunter. So if you like an offset, or if you like an offset for, a back bar stabilizer or something to that, or a 7-degree down on your front bar, all right, give me that option. They shoot, they kill. You could pick up a Walmart bow the way they have them now and go kill a deer.
Yep. Easily. Not easily, but yes, it would be equipped too.
Yeah, it would be better than like you were saying, the early 2000s or late 90s bow.
Yep.
And it's considered a cheap model. And it's like, this is like Taj Mahal compared to what we used to be flinging. But it definitely helps out with the way they make bows now, especially out west, where you can reach out and touch them with the way things shoot, how flat shooting these bows are and how fast they are, and to be able to hold 80% let off whatever you're ripping, and you're only holding 12 and a half, 13 pounds, and you can drive tacks at 70 yards, no problem. Kind of nice.
Yep. Yeah, that's for sure.
Pretty fancy.
Yeah.
Fancy for sure.
Well, with that, here we are again at a long distance or a long
hour
podcast.
and a half.
Yeah, hour and a half. So
really,
we just got in gear.
All right. Well, just real quickly. Real quickly.
Yeah.
Release.
Just
style of release.
Right now, I'm shooting a stand Perfects thumb release.
Yep. That's what you have. You've never used it, but
I've never used it.
You want it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, probably going back to wrist strap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lose stuff, so that's why I got to have it attached to me.
I like as much as I've used it, and I do like it. I'm probably going back to the wrist strap because it's years ingrained in me having it there.
Yep.
And
you just let go after you shoot.
Just let go. and I think I'm going back. I've been with a thumb button for 4 years now. But with the thumb button release, you have to have two to have one, because like you said, you're going to lose it.
Right. I absolutely would.
I rotate mine every year. I'll shoot. And so I just rotated the sequence of new release just so they break in equally. Mm-hmm. So if all of a sudden something went down, I have them. But I've liked the True Fire releases. They're quality. They're solid. You can get anything from a $30 release to a $120 release. I like the different trigger styles that they have, a quick break or just the spring operated ones. But again, it comes down to me of not punching the trigger and which style, but I like this. I like the wrist strap.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
Yeah. I've been thinking about trying the thumb, but I don't know.
I got one you can try.
I know. And I've been thinking about it, but I like the wrist strap.
I did see somebody over at Gary's range that had the thumb, and then they had this like magnetic pad on the side of their bow. so that they can shoot and then just stick it to the side of the bow.
Well, there's like a site now that has a thing where you can like just plop it in.
Yep.
There's a spot for it, but still.
Yeah, they think of everything, don't they?
Now, I just want it attached to me so I can
Right. And that's my thing too.
fold it up and
Plus, I
forget about
fidget.
it.
So it's
fidget.
It's a good fidgeter.
Yeah, it is.
Every time. I should probably like get a new one because I've had that one for quite a while.
I've had that one for a long time, but it still works great.
It does. I haven't noticed anything. I know I've tightened the spring up just a little bit, you know. So, but otherwise, it's a great.
The one thing I do like about the thumb button with mine, it has a keeper on it, so I can put it on my D loop and it just hangs there, and I'm not worried about it falling off.
Yep.
So when I'm in a ground blind or something to that nature, grab my bow and it's right there. But there's been times I've clicked that button and ding, 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 down, plinko right down to the bottom.
Yep.
It's like, oh, come on. So
it usually happens with a glover too.
Or quiver.
right.
I've had that happen. Yep.
Yep. We all drop shit, right?
Right.
It happens.
I've actually dropped a bag. It's like, well, there goes all my stuff.
Well, hey, had that bag been wrapped in stealth tape, you would have been fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, man.
Well, we appreciate you coming in once again. I know we didn't cover any
everything
out of state hunting, but that's just the way it is. I think the gear thing is great, and I think all of us can relate to. We've started out with certain gear, tried something else. We all have an abundance of stands, from Menards cheap. Hey, they're on sale for $60.
Right.
To,
I can put on public land. Somebody can steal it and I don't care.
Yep. And I've had that happen.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Right.
Actually, my first stand I actually put money on, it was $200 stands. Like, yeah, it got stolen. So then there's a few years of like, yep, $100 stands. That's what I'm buying because if they get stolen, they get stolen or whatever. And then and actually I think Ripley was where I decided, I need better equipment.
Right.
I need better sticks, lighter stuff. And so I progressed through sticks and stands and to saddle. And
well,
that's where I went to Climber.
And no offense, because I know you're still using them and I have a set as well. And they're great sticks.
The Hawk
helium sticks, great sticks. I hate that suction cup.
Yes, they never.
They don't stay together. They make noise. It's just the worst.
And the ropes that come off. I always hated my Gorillas, although the Gorillas did get recalled because they broke. Yeah, I had one break, but I hated the straps because they were always loud and the buckles and stuff.
Right.
And then the same with the heliums. Yeah, but then I went to the cord.
Yeah,
you did upgrade your cord.
Am steel cord. I did that, and so now I was getting used to that because you can't get it as tight. You really got to finagle it to make sure it stands.
Hang it 4 inches higher from where you want it to be.
Yeah, and then just beware of the drop.
Exactly. That's the way to do it.
The first few times I wasn't aware of the drop.
Am steel's amazing though.
It is.
It's great.
It's
amazing.
Yeah. But there's just so much gear out there, and
it's just going to keep getting better and better.
Oh, it is.
More expensive.
That's for sure. Yeah.
No doubt.
They can make it cheaper, but it ain't getting any cheaper.
Right.
But, so, well.
Yeah, we appreciate
you coming in.
Yeah. No doubt.
Glad.
Sounds like we'll have a part 3 to talk about.
we might have a part 3. Yeah, for sure.
I get it.
Let's just keep going. Yep.
Right. I think we do part 3 in your shop and you teach us how to weld.
Absolutely.
Because I want to weld my own sticks now.
Right. Yeah. Or just in my bow shop and we can take your.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Well,
thanks for coming again. Thanks for spending your time with us.
You bet.
Talking about bow hunting gear. So next time maybe we'll get to the out of state hunts.
Maybe we'll talk about.
Who knows what we'll do?
Yeah,
I could talk about bow hunting all the time.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
It's fun.
All right.
Till next time.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association has been building our hunting and conservation legacy over the past 40 plus years through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation in Minnesota for Minnesota.
The Minnesota Deer Hunters Association and Wolf Dot Report proudly sponsor this podcast. However, please note that the opinions, topics, and guests featured may not necessarily align with the views, beliefs, goals, or mission of our sponsors.
Need help and don't know where to turn? First Call for Help 211 connects you to free, confidential support, including dedicated veteran services for housing, food, and mental health, available 24/7. Just dial 211. Help starts with your first call.